12 News is your election headquarters, and tonight we're in Lumberton, where 3 candidates running for State Rep District 18 faced off just hours before early voting is set to begin. It's certainly a race to watch.
Are you ready?
Mr. Missick, am I pronouncing your last name?
Yes.
Missick, yes, sir. For the record, can you please spell and state your first and last name for me?
My name is Stephen Missick. That's S-T-E-P-H-E-N. Missick. M-I-S-S-I-C-K.
Now, Mr. Missick, why are you here tonight? What are you excited about tonight?
Well, tonight we're going to have a debate, and this is at a church, and so we're dealing with, I'm a pastor from Cleveland, Texas, and I think it's important for churches to be engaged, and so I'm happy that Candlestick Baptist Church is trying to engage the problems that are facing our country and inviting the candidates to come and state their views.
Okay, I love that. And so, do you feel like with it being in a church, it kind of reaches a different type of audience? I mean, voters are invited to come from all around. You don't come to the church, but just...
Right, of course, the doors are open to everybody. I'm glad that churches are engaging the voters.
Right.
Like I said, it's a very important issue. It's a very important election. This is a very decisive primary election that's going to determine the future of our country. So we need to get as many people as possible involved, especially people among the faith community.
Yeah. What are some of the hot issues you think you guys going to discuss that you guys going to touch on?
All right, one of the primary issues that we're facing as a nation is the border. And I have border experience. I have 30 years of experience in the military, and I spent 4 years on the border mission. And I've been all across the border from Brownsville all the way to El Paso. And I've seen policies that work on the border and things that don't. None of the other candidates have unique experience on the border that I have. And that's the biggest problem we have. This is unsustainable. It's possible as many as 20 million illegal aliens crossed our border in just 3 years. We've got to secure our border. And it's a deadly issue because drugs are flowing across our open border, and hundreds of thousands of Americans have died the past 3 years. Probably 300,000. 100,000 people overdosing from fentanyl every year. We have to secure our border to keep our nation and our young people safe.
Oh, how do you feel about abortion? That's another issue.
All right. One of the issues we're talking about tonight is abortion. And I'm a pastor, and I believe what Jesus taught, the apostles taught, and I think the biblical message on abortion is clear, that everyone's created in the image of God, every life is sacred, and life begins at conception. The Bible teaches that, and the Bible says, thou shalt not murder, and we need to advocate for biblical values and protect the innocent, especially the unborn. So I'm 100% pro-life, and I think it's very exciting we're tackling the pro-life issue tonight.
How big do you think that law, it's been around for, a while now, but do you think that it has gotten any less traction? I think it's still just as viable and controversial as it was when it first came out.
All right, now, because of President Trump, and I support President Trump, we were able to repeal Roe versus Wade. But I think the pro-life movement hasn't been going forward in any way, despite the overturning of Roe versus Wade. We haven't made advancements to the pro-life issue the way we need to. We need to seize this moment and go forward to reduce the numbers of abortion. And like I said, this is horrific. 60 million aborted babies since Roe versus Wade was determined. So we need to bring abortion rates down and just teach. Well, we got to defend the unborn, and we need to teach people why they shouldn't take the life of their own unborn child.
What are you hoping that, first of all, what makes you the best candidate for this seat?
I think there's a couple reasons why I'm the best candidate for the seat. Like I said, I think my military experience counts for something. I have 2 combat deployments to Iraq, and I spent 4 years in border mission, 30 years overall of military service. So I have unique experience on the border. I served in the border mission for 4 years, and I know the border very well. And I know what we need to do to secure our border, because I've seen policies that work and policies that don't. The other issue is Colony Ridge. Now, State Representative Ernest Bales, the incumbent, helped write legislation which bestowed special privileges and protections and empowered Colony Ridge to grow from just a few thousand to it's 75,000 now, and it's expected to grow to 250,000. And it's causing a lot of strains on the infrastructure in Cleveland. And I pastor a church in Cleveland, so this is something in the backyard. And what's going on there, there's environmental damage, pollution with raw sewage pumping into our rivers and streams, our drinking water. The violence over there, it's not safe. So Colony Ridge needs to be tackled. And since I've been following Colony Ridge since about 2016. And following this issue, I campaigned against Colony Ridge last election cycle. And that's something in my backyard. That's something I feel like I'm more equipped to deal with, to hold Colony Ridge accountable and stop the abuses that are going on over there, since it's in my backyard.
So military background, you being a pastor, you feel like that makes you kind of the best candidate for
Military background, the pastor. Yes, and I think another thing that's important is kind of being an outsider, being a man of the people instead of an incumbent or part of this political establishment. We need somebody that's an outsider, that's not part of the Austin swamp, to come in there and advance conservative values, because I believe in conservatism. I believe that conservatism helps everybody, all Americans, white, black, Hispanic, whatever race and nationality. Conservative benefits, creates opportunities and prosperity and for everybody. So that's what I do, is make a better life for all Americans.
How long have you been a pastor?
Well, I've been pastor for probably 10 years. I've taken over. See, my father founded this church. He died of COVID. So I was, with my military career, half of my military career I was a combatant. And then I felt the Lord call me to minister to soldiers. And I could identify with soldiers because I was one. I carried a weapon into Iraq in my first deployment. So I went, I got endorsements from religious organizations. I had a theological education. Now I got a doctorate, but I earned a Master's of Divinity and later a doctorate so I could be a chaplain. So I was a chaplain for a long time, for half my military career, ministering to the needs of our soldiers.
So would you say 15 years, 10 years, like how long?
15 years as a combatant and 15 years as a chaplain. And I went to Iraq twice. The first time I was a combatant, the second time I was a chaplain. And when I was in the border mission, I was working as a supervisory chaplain. And I was checking on my soldiers, all my soldiers all across the border, to make sure that they're being taken care of, didn't have any issues, and what their working conditions were, because I just want to help them in all their struggles and challenges they face serving our country.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Drugs, crime, foreclosures. The Colony Ridge development is a huge problem. Even Representative Ernest Bales agrees.
Colony Ridge is a huge problem.
What Bales isn't telling you? He wrote the bill creating Colony Ridge and took thousands of dollars from its lobbyist. Now there's a federal investigation. For Texas, the bigger problem is Bales. It's time to bail on Bales. Early vote starting February 20th. Election day is March 5th.
Every parent should have the right to choose the best school for their children. But State Rep Ernest Bales disagrees. He did the bidding of radical liberal unions, trying to turn Texas blue by voting to block school choice for Texas families, voting to kill $4,000 teacher pay raises, and denying millions in funding for our local public schools. Ernest Bales sides with liberal unions, not Texas parents.
Let's all join in as we begin the victory.